Manchester United now have 4 key players on the right flank and there is no need for them all to stay at the club. Manchester United now have 4 key players on the right flank and there is no need for them all to stay at the club. Manchester United have made some welcome changes in recent weeks. In fact, they have started to reduce their squad and move on to those who have little to offer. Donny van de Beek has been sent on loan to Eintracht Frankfurt with an option to extend his contract on a permanent basis. Jadon Sancho has returned to Borussia Dortmund until the end of the season. Hannibal Mejbri will join Sevilla on loan. These may only be temporary solutions at the moment, but at least it's a step in the right direction. United have struggled to change players in the past, and that seems to be changing now. But this is just the beginning. United still have a lot of work to do in this area and they should consider moving more players before the end of the month. These plans could be affected by recent changes on the pitch. United have spent £205 million on right wingers since their first chase for Sancho in 2020, but their solution to that position appears to be a left winger who they signed for £100,000. Alejandro Garnacho has been excellent in his 2 starts at right back and looks set to retain his place in the starting lineup when United take on Tottenham at Old Trafford this weekend. This means United now have 3 senior right-back specialists at the club, none of whom are certain to make the starting lineup and all of whom are only vying to be the backup option. Anthony remains the prime candidate for the role. He is the most experienced of the trio, costs the most money and is a Ten Hag signing, with real pressure on the manager to make the most of the former Ajax player. Of course, there's a strong argument for him to be sold in the future if he doesn't see major improvements, but it's hard to imagine that happening anytime soon when he's done so little in a United shirt. As such, both Amad and Facundo Pellistri are effectively fighting to become the 3rd option on the right flank, a role neither of them may actually want. They both showed glimpses of real promise in United's first team during their time at the club, but ultimately neither of them look ready to make a serious impact as a regular in the starting lineup. They could both benefit from a loan spell, although the harsh truth is that they could also be sold. Pellistri is now 22 years old and cannot be considered the youthful pitcher he once was. He has played 18 games for the adult team, including 3 at the World Cup, and should be playing regular soccer. Even if he's shown on loan, it's hard to imagine that happening at Old Trafford, and a temporary departure would simply delay what seems inevitable. It's a similar situation with Amad. He is 21 years old and after getting a taste of adult soccer at Sunderland, he wants to return on loan to catch up after a long injury layoff. The Ivorian still hopes to one day make it to United, although there will soon come a point where he will no longer be seen as a player of the future. While there is still hope for either Pellistri or Amad to play a serious role at United in the future, the harsh reality is that they will both fail to do so, especially after Garnacho's recent change of position. A loan exit may still be the safest next step for either of them, but a permanent exit should also be considered. Timo Werner has been linked with a move to Manchester United this month but could face them on Sunday after the forward signed for Tottenham. The summer of 2020 must seem an awfully long time ago for Timo Werner. At that time, the Germany striker was one of the most promising players in football. A move to Liverpool and interest in Manchester United have long been tipped, but in the end he chose Chelsea. Since then, his career trajectory has only gone in one direction. So for all the trouble that Tottenham's social media accounts have given to Werner's arrival on loan until the end of the season, the reality is that they have signed a player who has largely forgotten how to score. Perhaps Ange Postecoglou will touch Midas again, but that's far from a guarantee. Werner finished the 2019-20 season with 28 goals in 34 Bundesliga matches. Over his last 4 seasons with RB Leipzig, from the ages of 20 to 23, he scored 95 goals in 159 appearances. Then his scoring touch left him. The 27-year-old is now back in the Premier League, having scored 21 goals in his last 91 appearances. The striker, once regarded as a lethal finisher, became a laughingstock in his 2 years at Chelsea, scoring 10 Premier League goals with an XG of 18. His return to RB Leipzig certainly didn't force him to quit again. He scored 11 Bundesliga goals in 35 appearances and was demoted to fourth striker at the club before his January return to London. RB Leipzig were happy to refund his wages and see Tottenham include a loan buy option. The fact that they have reportedly fought off United's interest in signing Werner will add intrigue to the vital clash between the two clubs this weekend at Old Trafford. But United's interest in Werner has never been particularly concrete, and as the club continues to try to rebalance a shaky FFP situation, a loan move at the end of the window is the only realistic option for Erik ten Hag to strengthen his squad once a spot on the wage bill opens up. The departures of Donny van de Beek and Jadon Sancho helped with this. There is also a strong argument that the last thing United need is a striker with a habit of missing chances. You only had to watch Ten Hag's side score 2 goals from 33 shots against Wigan on Monday to realize they needed, to quote Ian Wright, a killer in front of goal rather than a kitten, which seems an apt description for Werner in his time at Stamford Bridge. It will be interesting to see where Postecoglou plays against Werner. He changed his striker lineup this season, but due to the absence of Son Heung-min at the Asian Cup, another option was needed. Son and Richarlison have swapped roles from left wing to center forward this season, and Werner could do the same. But if United do enter the market at the end of the season, it will most likely be a striker, someone who can take the pressure off Rasmus Højlund, who toils for little pay and clearly needs support, especially with Anthony Martial is still missing. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting is linked with United in Germany, and while the 34-year-old is a less glamorous name than Werner, he may be better suited as a natural striker with a decent goal record of late and one who is used to influence games from the bench. In truth, neither is ideal for United, but for the second winter in a row this is the market they are shopping in. Depending on Martial's likely return date, Ten Hag may have to make do with the goals he has. If United are looking for a short-term signing, they will be hoping to make a bigger impact than Wout Weghorst did last season. Perhaps Werner will provide that for Tottenham, who have been surprisingly strong under the new Australian coach. If he does, it will make Ten Hag's job of going after the teams above him even more difficult. Given the way this season has gone for Ten Hag and United, don't be surprised if Werner arrives at Old Trafford this weekend and immediately finds his boots. But if that happens, it doesn't mean United have missed out on someone who could turn their own campaign around. Italian giants Inter Milan are considering a move for Manchester United striker Anthony Martial next summer, according to reports, as speculation around the Frenchman grows. Martial, 28, has 6 months left on his contract at Old Trafford, and United are prepared to sell him in the January transfer window. However, provided there are no buyers for the France international, he could become a free agent if the club does not exercise the 12-month option on him. United signed Martial from Monaco for £50 million 8.5 years ago. The forward has scored 90 goals and provided 55 assists in 317 appearances in that time, but Martial's future is uncertain, with several teams across Europe, including Inter Milan, considering a move for him.